Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Today I will be sharing my experiences installing a Honda OEM tow hitch on a 2023 Honda Odyssey Sport. I did not have the motion sensor opening and did not install the wiring harness, as I'm only going to be using this for a bike rack. So keep that in mind. Cost-wise, in total, this hitch cost me only $230. Yeah, you heard that right. $230 for a genuine factory Honda OEM hitch from a local dealer. Stay tuned and I will let you know how I got away with this for so cheap. So this video is by no means meant to be a how-to video. I am not a professional nor expert at installing trailer hitchers by any means. I did install an aftermarket one on my 2013 Odyssey, but this is the first time I've done an OEM one, so it's a little scary. But thanks to everyone on the Audi Club forum who shared their experiences. That basically gave me the courage to try this out myself and save quite a bit of money. The dealer that I called was looking for around 400, maybe 500 bucks to install this. Overall, it took me about 3 hours. That's doing it by myself and stopping to shoot the video. You could probably get it done in about 2 hours if you had some help and didn't waste your time with the camera. Two main reasons why I decided to go OEM. Number one, in my opinion, the OEM just looks better. I like that most of it's hidden underneath. You can really only see the hitch itself. So I think it has a much cleaner look. Second, clearance. The OEM has much more clearance than the aftermarket one that I had before, at least, and the ones that I've seen. On my 2013 aftermarket hitch, I only had 9 inches of clearance from the bottom of the hitch to the ground, so I would scrape every single time I went through a driveway or any little bump. My rack would scrape the ground. With the OEM, it looks like I'm getting about 13 inches. On the old one, I had to use an extension on the old Odyssey, which gave me about 15 inches, but that added additional time and labor to set up, and I just didn't like the look. So let's get going. So the part number for this model is 08L92-THR-100. This will fit the 2023 and I believe going back to the 2018 as well. So definitely download the instructions. They can be found by searching on estore.honda.com. Click on the link for installation instructions for a purchased accessory and just do a search for your year, model, and put the word hitch and you'll probably find it. So in addition to the tools listed in the instructions, a pair of joint pliers is needed to remove the muffler from the rubber mount in step 3. This is probably one of the hardest things to do by yourself. You definitely benefit from 2 people in this step. Alright, so let's get started. First step is to put masking tape, or I'm using painter's tape, along the bumper and the frame where they connect. This protects a little bit of damage as you're putting it on and taking it off. So let's go ahead and do that. One thing I want to point out is the 6 self-tapping screws in the manual. At first, I didn't really understand where those were. Those are actually the screws right here. I'm pictured along the tire there, and there is one screw at the very top of the bumper and actually covered up with the tape, so make sure that you do unscrew that one, because you can remove the fender if you pull hard enough, which I actually did. So make sure that you do remove that screw, otherwise it won't sit flush when you try to put it back on. So here I am removing the mud flaps that I had previously installed. If you'll notice, I am using a 90-degree connector for the drill bit. Does make getting into those tight corners a whole lot easier, so definitely recommend spending a couple bucks picking up one of those. There is a push pin at the bottom of the driver's side, so we're just going to remove that with our little handy tool there. You could just use a screwdriver as well. Moving on to the other side, there are some screws, again holding on the mud guards. Using my handy right angle connector, the mud guard easily comes off. Again, don't forget that screw at the very top of the bumper. make sure if it's covered by tape that you do unscrew that one. And one final screw on the bottom, and we're good to go. Now we're going to remove the bottom two clips. This is underneath the rear of the bumper. There are two clips that you need to remove. Now we're ready to remove the bumper. Again, don't forget to remove that screw. It would have popped off a lot easier if I had removed that screw. Ah, see, I did catch this side. Remove that top screw right there. After you do that, it will easily pop off. There's 9 tabs. It says you need to help with somebody. Not really, you just pull it off. It's not too difficult. Pops off pretty easily. That's the right side. Now moving over to the left, I undid those screws. I don't think I showed that, but definitely make sure you unscrew those. The left side should just pop off pretty easily as well. But there is one more screw, and this uses a 10 millimeter. Having a ratchet will be very helpful because this screw is actually very tight. And I don't think this was in the instructions, or I missed it, but there is one screw that's way underneath the bumper there that you really have to get under to see it, and it was very tight. This one was hard to get off for some reason, but it's a 10 millimeter bolt actually, so having a ratchet would make it a lot easier. So once you remove that one, then the bumper will fall right off. Okay, with that final bolt removed, the bumper slides easily off, and there is one little piece of styrofoam that did fall off. Make sure you put that on right away. Don't forget to put that back before you put the bumper back on. This is what the car looks like without your bumper. There's the bumper itself. Put it on something nice and padded. Alright, so now onto the fun part, removing the muffler from the rubber mount. So, as the instructions say, spray it with some soapy water to get it nice and slippery. And this is where those pliers are going to come in real handy. There is a tool that's made specifically for this, but I didn't have it, so those pliers will make things a lot easier. You can't do this by hand, and again, having another person would also be helpful. If one person can pull on it while the other one works the pliers, that'll probably make it a lot easier as well. But I eventually got it messing around long enough. It eventually came out, but it was quite difficult, so have somebody help you with this step. Okay, so I eventually got that off. Then now we're ready to mount the hitch. So basically I started on the right hand side. You want to elevate it a little bit on the left. I used a car seat here. I'm sure there's a better way to do this, but that seemed to do the trick. Once you have it elevated on the other side, you want to go ahead and slide it in above the exhaust pipe, of course. I don't know why I'm filming it from this side, sorry, but as you can see, I'm basically screwing in the 3 screws. And again, this is where somebody helping you out might have been a little easier. It is kind of heavy to hold up and screw in at the same time, so having somebody help you out would have been nice. And you do have to move the exhaust pipe a little bit to get your wrench up in there, but again, pretty easy. And I know the documentation says to use a torque wrench, but I didn't have one, so, and hopefully I'm not gonna damage anything here and it's not gonna fall off, but I think I'll be okay. Once you're done with one side, go on to the other side. This one was a little easier now that it was in place, but again, it is still pretty heavy lifting with one hand and getting that initial screw in on the other side. So have somebody help you. So once you have it in, it goes in pretty easily. Just screw them all in. Again, tighten them until you feel it's tight enough. If you don't have a torque wrench, hopefully you'll be fine. Alright, now that we're done mounting the hitch, now move on to the actual bumper. So instructions say to remove the little, I think it's some type of pad, but you want to remove that from your bumper using your screwdriver or your little popper tool. Those come off pretty easily. Make sure you put this back on before you reinstall the bumper. I forgot and had to put it on after the bumper was back on the car, and it was a little difficult, so make sure you put this back on before you put the bumper on the car. Alright, now we're going to cut. So I'm using a Dremel. I'm sure there's a better tool for this job, but it's what I had and it seemed to work okay. These cuts really aren't visible, especially this one. Do your best, but really unless you're underneath the car, you can't really see the cut. So this seems to be the trick for me. Of course, you want to wear eye protection. Got to speed this up a little bit. Just follow the line, cut along the line. Alright, next we're going to drill the holes for the little cover mount. It says use a push pin. You can do that. I decided to go ahead and just start with the drill. I think I got it pretty good, so they're lined up. Seem to be okay, but just make sure you drill where it says you want to drill. The holes get progressively bigger. Again, they just want to make sure you put it in the right spot. Once you have that done, you can remove this little exhaust cover. Again, make sure to put this back on before you put the bumper back. This one's not quite as difficult, but just put it on before you put the bumper back. Pretty straightforward. Alright, now we're ready to cut the bumper. So this is where it got a little scary. You know, take your time. Again, these two large cuts aren't very visible, but you know, you want to do your best job. Just take it slow, follow the lines, you'll be fine. You could probably cut on the inside of the line. The final product after you cut is a little big. There is some space between, I think, what you need to cut and what is actually there. So I would cut on the inside of the line. Take your time here. Remove any excess. Now move on to the other side, same thing. Cut nice and slowly, take your time. I'm using the box of the tow hitch, as you can see, to prop the bumper up. That seemed to work fairly well for me. This is sped up, I think, 4 times. I wasn't even going that quick. corners are a little tough with the Dremel, but we try to work. Clean off the edges. So now we're ready for the center cut. So this one does count. So take your time. Again, the piece that's going to cover the opening is pretty generous, so there is quite a bit of room for error, but definitely take your time. Do it right. Cut on the inside of the line. Once you're done making these two cuts, what I did after making the initial cuts is I just removed this large piece. That gave me some more room to play with to do the top part of the hole. That was the more complicated part just to get to. So we're going to remove this whole piece just to give us some more room. Now we're able to adjust our saw and get in, because you do have to go up a little bit of the bumper there. Again, you want to take your time here. Try it out, follow the line. The line is a pretty good guide. Snap that plastic tool on to see as you go. You may need to do some additional cuts, but take your time here for sure. And I'm cutting on the inside just in case I happen to slip or anything. Line it up nice and neat. Snap in that piece, make sure it's lined up. Make sure it does get pushed all the way up, and you should be good to go. All right, once you have that piece in, that's it. Again, make sure you can see I didn't put that big black piece on the left. Make sure you put that back on before you reinstall the bumper. It makes your life a little bit easier. Make sure that foam piece is on the bumper as well. That might have fallen off. And then your little exhaust cover on the right, those two little clips. Make sure everything's in place before you stick it back on. But once you're ready, should be pretty straightforward. Slide it right back in the way you took it off. Put all the screws back in, of course, where you found them. Oh yeah, so thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope this did give you some tips and maybe the confidence to try to do this yourself. How did I get this for so cheap? Well, basically, obviously, I installed it myself, so that saved about $500. I did not install the wiring harness. I think that was another $100 or so, because I don't plan on towing actual trailers, just for bike rack. But how did I buy the tow hitch itself for so cheap? Well, I did look online, all the local internet spots for Honda parts. Unfortunately, shipping was just way too much for this to ship out to California. So I ended up getting it from a dealer. And how did I get it for just about half off? Well, when you submit a inquiry into Costco, you have to go through Costco, right? You say you're looking for a new car, you will get a coupon from Costco after you fill out a survey. So basically, if you buy the car from Costco, you can fill out the survey and they will send you a coupon for 50% off a service or an accessory. So I was able to use that. The dealer did honor the coupon and I picked it up for 50% off. So hell of a deal. If you don't actually buy a car through Costco and you are a Costco member, you can also get a coupon for 15% off just by submitting an inquiry into the parts section for Costco Auto. So 50% off, $450 maybe, still isn't bad. So definitely recommend you checking out Costco. So that's how we did it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Have a great day.